Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about in this video is the actor clowns, is what I call them. The actor clowns. They're a type of... this comes after being awoken and aware, after the awakening, as I always refer it to. Having a much more detailed perception of my world around me. Seeing and being influenced by the colors and by sounds in a lot more intense, detailed way. All of a sudden, the actor clowns start showing up. What are the actor clowns? Well, they're like characters that start popping up and showing up to deliver some sort of message, again, sent from the universe. That it's like a false person that shouldn't be. It's somebody that's like extremely out of place, in a way that these messages that I was now being hip to, and I was noticing like the color thing and the signs in the trash, in the words that I would be seeing and stringing along together. Like I could start seeing a one word on a sign, and like I'm thinking in my mind any sort of thing I'm thinking about, and all of a sudden it connects to what you're thinking about. Kind of similar in the way that our phones, everybody has noticed this, that our phones somehow can like read our mind in the same sort of telepathic way that I was talking about the voices. The radio-like connection that's going on between humans that I've noticed through the antenna and through electricity. Our brains can kind of connect on a frequency waves in the same way that a computer, or a TV, where you have channels to switch. There's a certain channel where everything's on this channel or this lane. The connections are happening via electricity, via our brains, and that's why I think sometimes we can hear each other or see each other or talk to each other, even if it's like from far away. Like if you're laying in bed at night and you should really start thinking about somebody, you can talk to them and communicate. Our brains are a giant antenna, and there's a lot of electricity in our bodies, and our brain, the way that we function as humans, like our fingers move because electricity. Our brain is like, I'm not sure the scientifics and stuff of how it works, but all I remember in school was that, our brain tells our finger what to do via electricity. Crap, I'm just plugging in my phone here. It's not a very good spot now. Let's see. I can move my... Excuse me for a moment. So these, the way that our phone... My point was that our phones like read our mind, because of social media. You look up certain things, and all of a sudden there's a lot of ads or something popping up to what you were just thinking about. Even if you hadn't typed in something or searched something, it's like it's reading your mind, and you're like, holy crap, that's really creepy and weird. Suddenly you want to have steak. You're thinking in your mind, you want to eat something for dinner, and then you see an ad for it, and you're like thinking, oh, did I type that in? No. It has to do with your brain thinking of it. And it's using technology, the electricity, electronic, the electric technology, radio technology, are telling our technology that we use what to do. It's like instantly when you Google search, you can try this for yourself. You can Google search a phrase. For example, Michael Jackson died. Oh no, try not to use something that's a little bit more obscure, like Los Angeles is I'm trying to think of something that's not such a common thing. Like you can type in anything, like how long to warm up tea kettle, or how long does it take to microwave a cup of tea? By the time you have even like how you type in how long, you don't even need to type it in, but all of a sudden by the time you're like by the third, fourth word of that phrase, it already like knows the entire phrase, not just the most common obvious thing that you would type in. How long does it take to have a cup of tea? Because you were thinking that, I find that my searches already fill in the blank, and it doesn't just go for the most obvious, it goes for what you were actually thinking. It's going to pop up way before, and on the search you're going to see other things that would have made more sense to type in, but it's going to your specific thing first. I think that has to do with the connection thing. I'm getting off track a little bit about the my point was this video is about what I call the actor clowns. Well, the way that technology, I don't exactly remember what brought me to technology reading your mind and the radio waves. And okay, well, so our way we communicate through the technology, we can communicate with each other telepathically through the radio waves using our brain, which is an antenna. Well, the way that, technology can somewhat read your mind, in that example I was talking about the Google search, where before you even are done typing it, way before it should know what you're going to ask it, it knows. That is like, okay, well, that's crazy. It's a little bit more than just connecting the dots. It's like going beyond that and really figuring out what it's going into your brain and reading it, basically. In the same way, in examples I was talking about, people like kind of expecting and knowing what each other are going to say, and it can go down a whole different slew of topics and conversations that we could go down. But actor clowns, I started noticing like people's mannerisms and just characteristics of these characters. And after I woke, I started realizing that these characters were like literally too much of characters, like over the top, cartoon-like actors. They'd come up, and like I said, you kind of only really get into meeting people and like meeting your community and learning about each other when you are not driving your car and you're living in a term away of like walking to work, taking the bus, living life in a micro level where you're really seeing things in you're seeing that little pebble and that little flower and that little piece of trash with these words on it. Whereas in a car, you wouldn't get all that information. You'd get other types of information if you're listening to like the radio and stuff, which is a whole nother topic I can get down to, where using the actual antenna in our brains, using that together with TV and radio and any type of media, whether it's live media or recorded media, like live radio versus a YouTube video versus a movie that you watch and stream or put on a DVD and watch. These actor clowns usually are over the top to kind of like tell you that they are not real. By not real, I mean they're not your friends. They're not people you know. They could be later. These people can become actor clowns in the big sense, but they're usually quick people. Like, okay, you're in line and you have this minute to kind of be a target, and all of a sudden, like somebody behind you starts talking to you or talking to themselves, and you're kind of putting together what they're saying or what you're picking up through your own telepathy tools, which is your yourself and your brain. You're realizing these people they're here for you, or they're here to be there for the sake of you to pick up on them. They're wearing something that sticks out, and then whatever colors those are like usually back to my colors philosophy. It takes in like they're going to be wearing some sort of form of color, because that's the first thing that they can fucking influence you with, rather than words. Before words, you're seeing the colors. You're seeing the type of outfit. It can tell you a lot. It tells you everything. Your eyes. It's a way that you can decipher things via your eyes. So the actor clowns, they come in and if you have a job, they're going to come in and they somehow disrupt usually the whole situation, or like they're just some out of place person that you're like, wait. And then you're like, wait, this person cannot be real. By real, I mean, this is not a natural thing that they're all of a sudden like creating this little story that passes life with your life. It's like a whole thing, and you're like, what the heck? Like, and I remember where I first kind of came aware of it was during my it was sort of like a psychosis, because all this awareness and stuff, I think maybe some people start becoming aware of everything through slowly maybe, but I was getting it all at once, like the color thing, the voices. It was like a sudden thing. I think some people maybe grow up with a lot of these factors and kind of put it together over time. I was getting it all at once and in a really intense way, to the point that I thought I was crazy. Well, whatever that means. And I was like walking down the street, and there was this kind of, homeless looking person, which in LA, they're everywhere. But like there were like a cartoon, like Spirit Halloween cartoon version of a homeless person, where it was just like, you could tell it was like either an undercover cop or like just this fake Halloween person that was following me for blocks and blocks and saying all this crap. That this was before I started picking up on like listening to people so much. I was walking, and finally when I did get to listen, I was like, I better listen to what this guy's jabbering about, because he's been following me for a while. What is he? Is this a cop? And I was using, and probably had something in my pocket at this time, so I was like thinking, oh shit, this is an undercover cop. It was happening on Hollywood Boulevard, and where there's lots of cops and lots of undercover shit and everything. And I had been busted already on Hollywood Boulevard for selling marijuana. Anyways, which by an undercover. But so I thought maybe this guy was undercover, but he finally said, hey. And once I finally gave him the attention, he was like, see, like, what's wrong with you? And it was like the whole time he was trying to teach me and break me onto the other side of is this just in my mind, or am I really hearing these things and people are telling me things and things like that. And it was like that. He was like, okay, like, goddamn, about time. And then he turned away. But like he was acting a certain way, walking a certain way. And then all of a sudden he like just was like, God damn it. Like, why can't you tell that we're trying to tell you something? We're like, yes, it's not just in your head and you're going fucking crazy, which I was. It was look, we are talking to you, and we are trying to give you these signals. And then I turn around and I see him, and I'm like, what the fuck was that all that? And then the way that he turned to walk after, he was like, yeah. After that, I looked at him and was like, oh, okay, so you've been following me? Like, what's the deal? And he just turned around and walked a different type of normal way, although he was in this costumey, homeless costume. He walked away normally and everything. It was just like, the whole purpose of him was to tell me that he was there. So from that point on, I started like becoming really, really like self-aware about my surroundings and people. And I can spot these people that are like, they're either there to like teach you a lesson. I guess it's part of the waking up awareness situation. They're like, actually, they're there to like kind of guide you from one side to the next, and to kind of tell you that you're not crazy, but you are going through this, and like almost like don't be scared about it. And I was starting to see, so everywhere I go, I have this awareness about fucking these people acting a certain way, and it's wild because you start seeing people that just don't look like, and like I used to have a difference of kids and like senior citizens. There were completely different types of humans up until my awareness. Kids were kids, old people were old people, and they were like a different form of human. Just the way they looked, the way they acted. I was not them, they were not me. But from my awareness and my awakeness, I start seeing old people as the same thing as me. I don't even know what to call it, but the same thing as me. Like I see the young man in an old man's eyes. And I no longer like talk to him as if he was an old man. I talk to him as he was a human. And it wasn't like the way I was talking to him as an old man, he wasn't like, I wasn't talking down to him as an old man. I would just treat him like he was an old man in a respectful way. And kids likewise. And like, I would think, I'm 20, I'm 25. This all happened when I was 26 and I'm 32 now. I noticed like, even just being a year or two older than someone, I graduated then. It was like a different type of thing. It was like, if you're not this age, you don't know. Like, it's a very juvenile way of thinking. But what I realized, I was just seeing everything in that way, where it was age meant something, because the actual like brain age affected the brain. Everybody would say, age is just a number and stuff. That's because I've always had like age played a big role in my life of my friends and my spouses and my girlfriends and my partners and all that. It would have a thing, but it's not like I was like, if you're too young for me or too old for me or anything like that. What I mean is, but every time I saw an old man, it was like looking at somebody my own age, even if he was way older, or a little kid. I'm seeing like the adult in the little kid in his eyes. I'm seeing the kid's eyes in the old grandpa's face. I would see them all of a sudden as just one thing, rather than it being an age thing or an old man thing or an experience thing. It was just like all of a sudden everybody kind of leveled out. And I don't know if that's something that comes with age. Once you get to like your 30s, you just realizing this, or if a lot of people have grown up like this, or if all of a sudden it's just like, you see what I'm saying. So the actor clowns come around and they look around, and you'll see what I mean when you start picking them out. And Hollywood has a lot of them. And once again, I have only come to my awareness and awokenness. I've only become awoke. I'm not talking about woke, like the trend word that people throw around. I'm just talking about my awoke. When I started becoming aware of all this. Hold on, I gotta open up the door. Coming. Hey, I'm making a video real quick. And so, my yeah, I'm gonna cut this one short, but yeah, you'll notice the what I call them the actor clowns, because they usually are trying to almost like trick you. It sounds like they're there to bother you, get your attention, and trick you. And there's never really good. If you're doing really good in life, I've noticed that there can be like positive actor clowns, but it's not like that. It's like you don't call him an actor clown. You just call him like a guide, like an angel. The good ones are the angels. And like I said, this city has a lot of them. City of Angels. Lost City of Angels. Lost City of Lost Angels. Whatever you want to call it. Los Angeles. So, it goes like that. They're guides. Back to the point of them being guides. There's actor clowns. You can call them the devils. Because usually they're usually there to be like some sort of menace or distraction. But they're there, and they're only there for you. Because when you start putting it together, you're like, why the heck was this person even there? It doesn't make sense. But in the context of your situation in your life, it makes perfect sense once you become aware to it. So that's what the actor clowns are. Thank you.